You've decided that you would like to get a job. Maybe it's your first job, or maybe you've worked before. So now that you're going to look for a job, you just go out and start filling out applications, right? Well, that's probably not the best thing to do if you want to be successful in your employment search. There are things that you can do before you fill out applications that will increase your chances at landing a job. And on this week's episode, I'm going to give you 4 tips for preparing for your job search. It is the week of September 15th through the 19th, and you're watching the QC Step Podcast. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of the QC Step Podcast. My name is Corey Finneran. If this is the first episode of the podcast that you've watched this school year, this is actually the 3rd episode that we've done. Episode number 63 was the first of the school year, and it was an introduction to our program and the podcast and the website. Last week on episode number 64, I talked about how to take advantage of STEP and work while you're in school. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, you can connect with QC Step in those places. Go to qcstep.com/Facebook to join the Facebook group, and we are at QC Step on Twitter and Instagram. And I use these to share job leads and articles and videos on employment that I think that you might find useful. On Monday, I linked an article that included a sample resume for high school students that are applying for entry-level retail positions. The Facebook group is also a good place for you to ask your questions on employment. If you're filling out an application and you're not sure what to put in a section of the application, or maybe you're preparing for an interview and you're not sure how to handle a specific question that might be asked in the interview, then post that in the group. I get notifications sent to my phone, so I'm going to see it right away. And I think that the Facebook group can be a great interactive place for help with employment, so use it. If you go to qcstep.com/Facebook, it'll send you over to the group, and then you just request to join the group. I have received a few employment questions from students, and I'd like to answer one right now. A student from Mercer County High School asks, "Who do I need to talk to if I have a question or problem on the job?" And that's a good question, and actually the answer is pretty easy. You will want to talk to your STEP teacher and either Gary or Carrie, depending on which school you go to. We are trained and we have experience to help you through employment situations that maybe you're not sure how to handle them. That's what we're here for. You don't want to go to your group of friends. You don't want to ask any of your friends because really they don't have that experience that adults have and that we have in working with high school students and helping them with work. As I said on last week's episode, our STEP program, between Dawn, Cindy, Gary, Carrie, and myself, we have 80 years of experience helping people with employment. And your STEP teacher is also trained to help you with employment. And these are resources that a lot of other students don't have. So we're here to help you with work. So don't hesitate to let us give you advice on how to handle problems and specific problems with your employment. So thanks to the Mercer County High School student that sent in this question. And if you have any questions on employment that you would like me to discuss on the podcast, you can send it through your teacher, you can post it in the Facebook group, you can tweet it to me, or you can email me info@qcstep.com. So as I mentioned, last week I talked about taking advantage of the services that you're eligible to receive through STEP and working while you're in high school. I'm going to assume that I made a very compelling case and I've convinced each of you that you need to start looking for a job. I'm almost positive That's how last week's episode was received in all of your classrooms. So the next step, no pun intended, is to go out and start filling out applications, right? Well, you could, but with a little bit of preparation before you fill out applications, you can give yourself a better chance of being successful. A little preparation goes a long way with your job search. So today, I'm going to give you 4 tips for preparing for your job search. Number 1, complete a master application and resume. So let's start with the master application. A master application is a job application that you filled out, but you will not be turning in anywhere. The type of application doesn't matter. If you don't have a blank application to use as a master application, then I've linked one in the write-up below the video in this post. And you can also find it in the forms section of qcstep.com. There's a little drop down there, a little thing to click on the banner. So download that, print it off, and fill it out. And it may have sections that some applications don't have, and real applications that you pick up or you fill out online, they may have sections that aren't on this master application. But the purpose of a master application is that you will have all, or at least some, or most of the information that you'll need right in front of you while you're filling out a real application. And when you fill out a master application, it helps you get all your information together ahead of your job search. It allows you to get all of your work history organized. Where you worked, when you worked there, the address and phone number for that employer, who your supervisor was. And these are all things that are going to be on an application. And you're not going to want to rush around and try to find them when filling out a real job application. And if you don't create a master application, let's say you find that information like the address or phone number to your previous employers or volunteer experiences. Let's say you find them either in the phone book or online. And when you turn in that application, what happens with the next application that you fill out? You're looking up that information again. And I'm not going to go into too much detail with resumes. I wouldn't say that a resume is necessary for entry-level employment, but it can increase your chances of getting an interview. And so it can't hurt you. And if it can only help you, then I don't know why you wouldn't do it. But I will probably do a podcast episode on resumes this year. But if you want to know what a resume is, if you should create a resume, what should go on your resume, and then how do you turn it into an employer, then check out episode number 46 of the podcast. And that episode is all about resumes, and I'll post a link to that episode below this video on qcstep.com. So if you want to prepare for your job search and be organized, the first thing that you can do is create a master application and a resume. The second thing that you can do to prepare for your job search is to line up references. And this kind of goes along with the master application. Usually applications have a spot for references. And references are people that, or employers, that other employers can contact. So if you apply for a job, the employer is going to look at that, see your references, and then they're going to contact these people to find out what kind of a worker and what kind of a person you are. And I want to start off by saying references on applications should not be family members. Even cousins, nobody. No family members. They should not be friends. And they should not be people your age. So who should your personal references be? They could be teachers. Teachers have seen you work. They know how you work. They've seen how you do in teamwork settings. Sports clubs or sports coaches or club advisors, those would make good references. So you would have people that you've done work for, even if you haven't done a real job before. So maybe you've mowed lawns or you've babysat for someone. Those people would make great references. Religious leaders would make good references. And if you're having trouble coming up with personal references, then talk with your step teacher or Gary or Carrie about this, and they can help you come up with 3 people that you can put on applications as references. So you've identified the people that you would like to be references, and the next step is to talk with them. Ask them if you can use them as references for your job applications. Tell them where you're applying. Let them know when you'll be turning in the application and that the employer may be calling them. By asking them if you can use them as a reference, you're giving them time to figure out what they would like to say to an employer if they call. And if you don't tell them ahead of time, they may be unprepared when the employer calls and not communicate as clearly as they would if they were prepared. These are the small details that can really make a difference between your employment search being sloppy or your employment search being very organized. And that very well could be the difference between getting a job or not getting the job. The third thing that you can do to prepare for your job search is to get organized with your clothes and appearance. I would encourage you to wear clothes you would wear to an interview when you go pick up applications. Each business handles the application process differently, and it's possible that they would prefer you to fill out the application there at the business. Some businesses do that. And to prepare you for that scenario, you'll want to get a folder. Make sure that you take your master application with you. And if you're able to take the application home to fill it out, put that application in the folder so it doesn't get wrinkled. If it's possible that the business will want you to fill out the application there on site, and it's very possible that they may want to conduct the interview right away. And if that's the case, you'll definitely want to be wearing clothes that would be appropriate for an interview. Even if you know that you won't be interviewing when you pick up the application, first impressions really matter, and you'll want to look like someone that really wants the job when you pick up the application. So go through your clothes and identify 2, maybe 3 outfits that you can wear to pick up applications and wear if you're offered an interview. And if you do that, if you wear a specific outfit, let's say you have 3 outfits, and you wear one to pick up the application, and you have another one that you would wear for the interview, you might want to just, if you keep a log of the places you apply and things like that, you might want to actually just write down what you wore when you picked up the application so that you're not wearing the same exact outfit when you go for the interview. And that's also the case. Sometimes when you apply somewhere, they may have you do, sometimes it's just 1 interview, but sometimes they'll have you do 2. And you'll want to keep track of what you've worn to each step of that process so that you're wearing a different outfit when you do the next step. So do this stuff before the job search. You don't want to wait until the last minute and then scramble to try to find interview clothes. Let's say you turn in an application, or it's an online application and you haven't had to worry about the appropriate job-seeking clothing yet. Then you're in school, and in the middle of the day you get a call from the employer. They leave a message and they would like to interview you that evening. You're already going to have enough going through your head as you try to kind of mentally prepare for the interview. You're not going to want to have to worry about what clothes are clean, what's clean but maybe wrinkled, or anything like that. Just do yourself a favor and help make this whole job-seeking process go as smoothly as possible, and identify the few outfits for your job search and hang them up. You'll want the outfits to be ready at a moment's notice. And as far as your appearance goes, if you plan to get a haircut before you have a job interview, do it now. Like the scenario I just presented you with, you may not get advance notice necessary to go get your haircut. If you get called right now, when you're watching this, let's say somebody's leaving a message on your phone right now and they want you to interview at 4:30 when you get out of school, there's no time to go get a haircut. So go ahead and do this before you fill out applications and you start turning them in. Like I said a few minutes ago, there are lots of moving parts to this employment search thing, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong. And if you can be prepared with things like job-seeking outfits ahead of time and all that, the haircut and everything like that, you'll be avoiding all of the bumps in the road that you could experience if you don't put in just a little bit of work with preparation. The fourth thing that you can do to prepare for your job search is pretty simple. Ask for help. If you're in the middle of preparing for a job search, have your step teacher or Gary or Carrie go through the checklist of things with you that you need to be doing. Even if you feel like you're fully prepared, let them sit down with you and make sure there's not something that you've missed. Like a lot of things in life, there's a lot that can go wrong with a job search. There's things that can go wrong that you've probably never even thought about. Your step teacher and Gary and Carrie, we've all been through these job searches ourselves, and we have the personal experience and the professional experience to help you through this. And that's why we're here. So if you're preparing for a job search, ask for help. So if you're going to start looking for a job, I really hope that you'll take this advice that I've given you today. There are a lot of things that can ruin your job search, and the more preparation you do, the less likely you are to have that job search derailed. So complete a master application and a resume. Line up your references. Get organized with your clothes and appearance, and ask for help. And by doing these 4 things, you will increase your chances of being successful in your job search. Well, let's look at some job leads. Some of these leads have online applications, and those are linked in the job leads section of this post under the video. Domino's Pizza in East Moline, they're hiring team members, and that's the store kind of on the frontage road off of Avenue of the Cities by United Township High School, and you can apply in person. Target in Moline is hiring seasonal team members, and they have an online application that is linked below. And we're starting to see some seasonal positions trickling in now. In the next week or 2, I'll probably do an episode on seasonal employment. Dollar General in Kelowna is hiring, and you need to be 18 to work for Dollar General. And the online application is linked below. Petco in Moline is hiring a grooming assistant, and the ad says that they prefer a high school graduate, but it doesn't say anything about it being required. So if this is a job that interests you and you're still in high school, you can apply for that, and the online application is linked below. Taco Bell in Moline is hiring team members, and there's an online application, and I'm not real sure which Taco Bell this is in Moline. There's one on Avenue of the Cities, and then there's the one by South Park Mall. And the listing doesn't specify which location it is. And the Von Maur South Park Mall in Moline, they're hiring several positions: part-time associates, holiday sales associates, and gift wrap associates. And we have some job leads for our graduates. Kone in Coal Valley is hiring assemblers. Coca-Cola in Rock Island is hiring general warehouse workers. Lids in Davenport is hiring part-time sales help. And Country Inn and Suites by the airport in Moline, they are hiring part-time housekeepers. And for this position, you need to apply in person Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to noon. And if you would like more information on these leads or help filling out these or any other job applications, Gary or Carrie would be happy to meet with you and help you with these things. So you can contact them through your STEP teacher, or you can email me info@qcstep.com, and I'll pass it along to them. Well, that does it for this week's episode, and as I mentioned earlier, the seasonal retail positions are starting to show up in the job listings. And my plan is that next week I will talk about these positions and why you should apply for them. Thanks for watching this week's episode, and I will be back next week with another episode of the QC Step Podcast.